Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. Garden in a Zone 6A in mid-Michigan, and today's going to be our first garden tour of 2025. Now I have to warn you before we start going around that it has been a brutal winter, much more of a 5B winter than a 6A, but we are considered a 6A, so it's got really cold this winter. We got lots of snow, and we are just coming out of it. Today's a beautiful day though. It's like 70 degrees outside, a bit breezy as you can tell, and so I thought it was a perfect day to take you around the garden and see what's happening, just because I think it's kind of reassuring to see other people's gardens this time of year, to know that things are going to come back. Mine are not back yet, but it gives you a sense of what things are like around here right now, and let's take a look. So you can see that my potager garden is quite a mess. It definitely needs a lot of cleaning up. I didn't get to a lot of things in the fall, this last fall, so unfortunately I have a lot of cleanup to do this spring. But it's nice to see that the Virginia are nice and back, and our blue junipers are doing great. They overwintered in these pots just fantastically. So I'm thrilled about that because I love them, and I'm looking forward to having them around this year as well. You can see my irises need a really good cleanup. We need to come through and tidy those up, but there is definitely green growth down in there, so they're starting to come up, and that's really great. We also have our evergreens here that are stone hedge, that are the skinny little ones that are going to be, probably about 6 to 8 feet tall, and only about 1 foot to 2 feet wide, so I'm looking forward to those growing on. This will be their second full year. And over here you can see that we have what I would consider to be a mess, but I did come through already and clean up some of the mums that were just sticking up and were brown and dried. And we don't really have a lot coming up in this garden bed. We do have some daffodils, which you can see next to it. You can see some free fertilizer from the bunnies that is all throughout the garden. In fact, you can actually see some bunny fur back here in the garden. So anywho, they are all around. I've been seeing the bunnies already. One of them is really big. But this is what the garden looks like this time of year. Really still kind of brown. We're definitely behind last year. Last year things were much further ahead, and we started seeing more green, but it is what it is. So I came through and I cleaned up the phlox that were in front here. I still need to cut back my coralberry bushes here on either side of the fence. Those need to be trimmed up. I did trim up this strawberry Sunday hydrangea right here, which is a panicle hydrangea. So if you haven't done that yet, now's a great time. I haven't gotten to all of them. I've just started, so that was one of the few that I actually got to. We can see that the bugleweed is almost evergreen here. So this is the ajuga, also called bugleweed. And we're starting to see some of the daffodils poke up in this garden bed all throughout it. So that's exciting to see. We do have hellebores in this garden bed as well, Anna's red. They're a very deep color, so those are starting to come up. And we have some hydrangeas over here that need to be cut back as well. These I will come through and cut back, cut about 2/3 of them off probably, and then they will grow on from there. Those are the smooth hydrangeas, which are really beautiful. So I need to come through and do the white diamond. This one right here, or excuse me, I think this is the pink diamond hydrangea. And I need to trim that back as well. This one I will probably not cut back quite as far, maybe take off about 12 inches on that one. And we have some hellebores in this garden bed that are coming up. It's really nice to see the greenery of the boxwoods right now, because they are definitely the one thing in the garden that stays green. And they're looking pretty healthy. They really came through this winter great. So yeah, we have several pennies pink hellebores in here, and you can see I've cleaned these all up and their buds are looking good, and hopefully we won't get any real strong heavy freeze or anything like that that will nip them. But right now you can see we have a lot of leaf debris that I've used to mulch this garden bed. I'm just leaving it in place. We're supposed to get some rain tomorrow, as well as like 40-mile-an-hour winds, so it's going to be interesting to see what that does. This should be coming into bloom anytime soon. This pieris will bloom white. This is the Scarlet O'Hara pieris, so we should be seeing those buds open soon. I'm surprised it hasn't already, but again, like I said, things are kind of late this year. They just really are. Let me show you my witch hazel because it is so gorgeous right now. This is the Jelena witch hazel, Jelena. And you can just see how those blooms just glow in the light. And as this gets bigger, we'll have more and more blooms that will make it even more and more prominent in the garden. This could get to maybe about 12 feet tall. We have some beautiful pink frost hellebores in this garden bed that are coming up. And you can see how prolific they are with their buds. Just getting ready to start to bloom. Whereas last year, I think about this time, they were actually blooming. So every year is different. The golden Hakonakloa grass has been spent, and now it is time for me to come through and trim this all back. And I'm also going to have to divide it this year. So I will do that after I cut it back first, so that I can see where the new growth begins, because it's starting to creep out into the path. We have some nice buds on the rhododendrons. They look a little dry, but I'm hoping that they will have survived and are doing well because it looks healthy. So we'll see. This one, the leaves are very, very curled. And I'm not sure whether the buds will survive on this one either, or open. Again, it was a really, really harsh winter. Now, these that are a little bit lower to the ground look better, much healthier looking. And so I'm pretty sure these are going to bloom. I do have a lungwort that is really starting to grow. This one is the Pinkaboo lungwort. So this is a very early plant that leaves out as a pulmonaria, and it has beautiful flowers early in the spring. We have more Virginia, which again is a evergreen and does provide a little bit of interest throughout the winter, as well as this early springtime when nothing else is really showing up that great. We do have some daffodils over here that are coming up as well, and some pretty and pink pulmonaria, which is just starting to come up over here. You will notice perhaps in this video that there is a lot of rabbit fertilizer in my garden, and so I probably don't need to fertilize very much this year because the rabbits have really done it for me this year. Well, I'm really happy that my Scots pine wintered over really well. It looks beautiful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of new growth it puts on. This is a miniature Scots pine, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I had it in a pot, and in the fall we planted it out into the garden. And you can see we have a whole bunch of daffodils that are coming up in this garden bed. They really are great to have since the rabbits stay away from them. You can really tell that the boxwoods stand out in these gardens this time of year. And we do have some snowdrops in this garden bed right now. Not a lot. Some of them are just coming up. These we planted last year. So I just planted 3 of them in each little grouping. And I think they're doing pretty well. So I'm real happy to see these coming up because they are so cute. And of course, more daffodils over here as well. And back behind me, we have some Dana's Dolce Hellebores coming up, which are a real kind of chocolatey color. And you can see that some of the geraniums are a little bit green. The heuchera have been eaten back by the rabbits over here. So all you can see really is a lot of crowns of the heucheras. So if yours look like this, don't worry. They should be okay because they will grow from the center of these crowns. And just thank the rabbits for cutting back your heucheras and not having to trim them all by hand yourself. Lots of daffodils also coming up in this garden bed, or at least starting to. We can see them here. Again, not a whole lot to look at, a whole lot of leaves still covering the garden, and they will start to break down after tomorrow's rain. We already have some tulips that are starting to come up over here, but the rabbits are starting to eat them already as well. So we'll see if we actually get any blooms on them. The chives are also starting to come up in this garden bed, which are really nice light green. The false mop-head cypresses right now really stand out, and they've perked up. They have more of their spring color than their winter color. It kind of gets much more dull in the winter time, but they look beautiful right now. I do need to come through and trim this butterfly bush back, as well as the sedum back here. You can see the seed heads on it. And I decided that I was going to cut down this rose this year, the Eden rose. I'm just not really happy with it, so I think I'm going to try to dig it out actually. So I've cut it back mostly to the big stems and just need to get in there and dig it out. Look at the beautiful crocuses. We have some nice crocuses blooming right now. Those are starting to come up. Again, usually these come up so much sooner, and I have a ton of bulbs in this bed that I can just see starting to peek out, but they aren't blooming yet. We have some very light colored crocuses as well in this garden bed. Aren't those beautiful? I saw lots of bees in them yesterday. So yeah, I see even more crocuses coming behind these as well. Here we have some more false mop-head cypresses that really bring some sunshine into the garden this time of year. Look at that. See how bright that new growth is on that plant. I mean, it's amazing. And we have a strawberry Sunday hydrangea. This one has not been trimmed back yet. Neither have I trimmed back my vanilla strawberry. This hydrangea is also a panicle, so I highly recommend that if you haven't already, again, now's a great time to do that. I need to come through. I started coming through and cleaning up some of these alliums, which are like the serendipity alliums, but right now they just look like sticks, the ones that are left. So basically I just come through and grab them and pull them out. But things are looking good. I mean, in terms of what they should look like. I know it doesn't look beautiful Not yet, but by the end of the month of April, things will be completely different out here. Things will have changed significantly. Look at the cute little shadow of the arborvitae topiary there on the fence. Isn't that cute? And the forsythia is not blooming yet, but it definitely has buds all over it. So we'll just wait and see what that does. All right, let's check out the front garden. I need to come through and trim up this burning bush. I will trim back the top probably by about a foot. And we have an azalea down here that's looking good and healthy. Hopefully that will bloom. Need to get these ferns cleaned up, the royal ferns. I came through and trimmed back the liatris already, which is this nice little hedge along here. I got a wonderful tool from my husband for Christmas that helped me a lot with it. I may show you that at some time in the future, just so that you know it exists, because it was incredibly helpful. It cut down the amount of time that I needed to work in the garden by a lot. Here we have a really nice bunch of crocuses. Sorry about my shadow, you guys. It's kind of the time of day where shadows exist everywhere. And again, the false mophead cypress looking nice and gorgeous. Now, I did just have my husband help me out here. After I came through, I cleaned up all of the mums. The mums were standing about 12 inches high, and they were just kind of black and gray and ugly. So I came through and cleaned up all of the mums in these garden beds, as well as the gaura. But I still have some more work to do because I have some holes, because he helped me by coming through and digging up those viburnums that I told you about. So those were the native viburnums that unfortunately were attacked by the viburnum beetle, which is not a, well, it's an invasive insect. It is non-native and eating up the native shrubs, so there's not really much you can do about it either, unfortunately. So I have some holes to fill, but that's okay. That won't take very long. So now that those two shrubs are gone, it really highlights the centerpiece, the juniper. It definitely makes it look much taller, and I like it. I did come out and clean up around the garden bed under the mailbox, but you'll see there are some flags about the yard because we have been having gas lines redone in the garden. The whole neighborhood is having them be redone. I think the umbrella pine came through the winter all right. It looks okay. It looks like something tried to take a nibble on it and decided it wasn't very tasty. So hopefully that's a sign that even when things are really hungry in the winter, they're not going to eat it. So again, I got to come through and clean up these sedums, trim back these bobo hydrangeas, do a little bit of cleanup on the sedums along this front garden bed. There's a lot of work to do, but hopefully we have some time to get it done in the next month. So here's kind of the devastation that's happening in the garden right now. A lot of mud. They came through with a ditch witch and a lot of machinery and just tore things up. So it's kind of a bummer, but it could have been a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. So I'm just being thankful that they didn't have to go into my garden beds and that they were able to work between them. Now over here I did clean up the fountain grass. I had some purple fountain grass in here, if you recall, that looked really great. It has a really nice contrast against the juniper and the boxwoods, but it's an annual, so I needed to come through and take those two out. So I've dug those up. I have a Gatsby Moon hydrangea here that clearly has some damage on it from the deer. So I don't know if that will bloom this year. It's also only like its second year in the garden, I want to say, full year. So we will see. So yeah, lots of flags everywhere right now. Unfortunately, I don't know how long that they're going to be here either. But the hellebores that we cleaned up just a couple days ago, you can see they're already starting to look more full as they come up out of the ground, and you can see the buds forming, and it is very exciting. These white pines that are weeping white pines that are miniatures, I've been really happy with them and how they look throughout the winter. I'll be interested to see how much growth they put on this year, with it being their first year in the garden since we planted those last fall. Those are called Niagara Falls white pines. And then along here, they also installed a new gas meter, so they did some digging in this garden bed as well and pretty much tore this up. But thankfully, I'm hoping that my viburnum right here will be okay. So I need to clean up the verbena that is in this garden bed along with the phlox, and definitely come through and tidy up these mums, get these out of here. So yeah, all in all, quite a bit of work to do yet this year, but everything's as it should be given what nature has done. So thank you for joining me in this garden tour, and I hope your garden's starting to perk up and that you are having a chance to get outside as well. We'll see you next time.